Culturally Clueless.
All right, you guys. So, for the very first time in the Sudanese genocide, a Janjaweed militia leader has been convicted and held accountable by the ICC in 27 accounts for all the atrocities committed. The Janjaweed group was the group that, before the RSF came in 2023 and took over, by the way, funded by the UAE. We should always make sure to say it. ICE, they're still heavily active in many major cities in the US, but there's still not enough noise about it. And last but not least, an activist, a TikToker named Justin, unfortunately died recently due to an aneurysm and left 5 children and a wife behind. He was very much loved by many of the pro-Pali movement people in or on TikTok, I should say. And he was very much supportive of the people in Gaza. Rest in peace. And I hope his family somehow can work through this very hard time. With that said, welcome to Culturally Clueless and salam alaikum.
People talking loud, everybody's got a tape. Scrolling through the headlines, don't know what's real or fake. Late night conversations, what's the truth we chase? World keeps changing pace, but we're all in a race.
Okay, you guys, so thanks for being here. And yes, I'm very sorry for all the confusion. Yes, we changed schedules. We're airing on Saturdays now. We'll at least try. And last week, unfortunately, was Sunday, but that was because YouTube was tripping. You know, the videos, when you upload them, they have to process. I guess they have to be checked. And that took forever. So it didn't really work. I spent the whole Saturday, well, at least during the day, to upload, and it didn't really work. So it was the Sunday morning, at least the Sunday morning European time, which was very late for US and wherever you are in the world. I don't know. But yeah, with that said, we're going to go with the Saturdays now. There's a couple more changes coming, as I said, as well. Very soon, they're going to be gradually introduced, but to that much later. And you guys will see. There will be. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say it yet. Okay. Let me be quiet. Anyways, I'm very glad to have you guys here. And in the comments, yes, we have an own song now. This intro and outro song is actually the same song and is specifically for this podcast. And at some point, I might upload the whole song. It's actually really, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like on point and also very motivational, very positive in a way. And with that said, let's dive straight into the topics of this week. So we have to, of course, talk about the ceasefire. You guys, Donald Trump, the savior of all, the guy who made peace in the Middle East after so long. Oh my God, I can't. I actually literally can't. So when they were talking, you know, this roundtable thing, and Marco Rubio came in with that note for him to approve the social media post on Truth Social, his own platform, so that he can be the first to announce it. It's I don't know even what to say. Like, the ego with this man is on another level. With all of these leaders on another level. Again, this world is being led by a lot of showman people, like, you know, who just, like, apparently it seems like they're just playing games. So the ceasefire deal went through after the Israeli prisoners, war prisoners in Gaza are being released. I think it's 48 of them. 24 still alive or 28 still alive, and the rest of them, unfortunately, well, dead. Once they have been released, there will be 250 Palestinians who served life in Israeli prisons, the Palestinian hostages. They will be released, and 1,700 hostages, Palestinian hostages from Gaza who were captured after October 7. And there is like thousands of more that have been captured after October 7th. By the way, 3,500, about 3,400, I believe, are not even charged with anything. But this is what the Israeli entity does. Most of the Palestinians are either charged with terrorism, like the 1,700 that are going to be released. You know, this happens with the people all the time. Also in the West Bank, they get arrested, and is, of course, terrorism. And the rest of them, the 3,400 some, they have not been charged with nothing. And this happens a lot. There's thousands from the West Bank and from Gaza in Israeli prisons that have not been charged with anything for a very long time. So with that said, we have also 53 women and 400 children. Can you all believe that? Under 18. Okay, but to them, these are not children. Of course not, because once you are a particular age, which is a very, very young age, you're a terrorist automatically. So yeah, that's what it is. Donald Trump announced his deal. He's very proud to be the guy, to be the man of the hour. It's insane. And the people in Gaza are obviously celebrating. They're very happy about this. I mean, can you blame them? And for someone like me who was such a skeptical person, and I feel actually really bad to always be negative Nancy, but I'm just wondering. I mean, there was a ceasefire in March that wasn't, respected. There was a ceasefire with the Lebanese in Lebanon that wasn't respected. There's a lot that they do and say and agree to and then don't follow through. Now this, they say, it's the first phase of this deal, and they're all very proud. The Qataris, the Egyptians, everybody who sat at the table with the mastermind Trump. This deal could have been gone through a long time ago. I don't know about this whole Tony Blair thing. That wasn't mentioned again, I think. And to me, I don't know where this is going to go and what is actually going to happen. What is the consequence should Israel not stick to this agreement? Will there be a consequence? Because they're saying like all these countries involved in this peace negotiation, they have to make sure that everybody, like both sides, stick to it. Insane. And I don't know what to say, but let's hear from the girl that we know as, hi, I'm sad and I'm still alive, because she's still alive, thankfully.
Sentence, not as an update, but as a result, I am still alive. It's the 9th of October, 2025, and today is the official announcement day of the ceasefire. Yes, a ceasefire after 2 years and 2 days of an ongoing genocide, an ongoing mass killing that was live on cameras. Everyone is watching and no one could stop it. Anyway.
You guys, Bisan is a character. Like she's been doing her own thing. And every time when I hear like journalists or people talk about her from Gaza, that is, who know her or who met her and got to know her, they say she's a very, very like, her own person. She does things her own way, and whatever it is, she does it all her own way. And it's actually really amazing how this young girl, who showed us and took us on the journey of this genocide, showing us how Gazans make food, how they try to keep up certain of their routines or traditions despite the genocide, how, like she showed us her weak moments, her strong moments. She received an Oscar, all of this. And in these 2 years, 2 years sounds long, but at the same time, like it's very short and still so much can happen. And this is why it's even sadder. And we have to talk about this and get this uncomfortable thing out the way. So Van Jones, yep. For those people who don't know Van Jones, or might probably just like heard the name and don't even know who he is and what he does, he's a CNN analyst. He's a political commentator. He's an activist. He was like actively working on criminal justice reforms and environmental issues. Like he's very busy, like trying to do good things and be a good citizen, on this planet, not just like to the world on the spin. He's a lawyer. He advised Barack Obama when it comes to green jobs, and he did a lot. He was really, really active. He's very, I would say, privileged and blessed to be in this position to do all of this. He even started and founded social justices charities. And then there was this petition in 2004 that he signed, which said that the Bush administration covered up or was involved in a sense of like knew about the 9/11 attack. And so that's why when this resurfaced, because that's what people do, right? When they see somebody is doing good and coming up, there's people who always dig deep in their past, and if there is like something that they can use against you, they will. So he resigned in 2009 from the Obama administration because this petition has been surfaced, and this is actually basically what it means is it's just like being like a conspiracy, being involved in a conspiracy against the US government, and obviously they're not gonna really be too cool with that. And in 2016 and 2020 he was also very active online, and he showed his emotional outbursts. And after the elections, you know, I mean, clearly, so nobody wants the orange agent in power, really and truly. And in 2020, when Biden won, he said it's a good day, and it's a good day to be a dad again, because he felt that Biden is going to implement, you know, like more, how do I say? I don't even know what the right word is. Like, you know, he's just going to be better for society. He's not going to be so cold, not going to be so vindictive, not going to be so crazy like Trump, you know. And unfortunately, which is very sad, I'm going to have to say this, right? Because when does funny and tasteless begin? So he was on CNN and they were talking about critical thinking and whatnot. And then he said, oh, they want to let college people talk about certain things, but they don't want to listen to me. Bro, you know, sit down. At this point, sit down. He made a very tasteless joke about you know, like he was accusing basically like the same propaganda that they're using, accusing Iran and Qatar for dis and misinformation online. He was actually been doing that. He was just accusing them, which is, by the way, misinformation by itself. But okay, I guess we're gonna just like gloss by that. And he accused, as I said, and then he made this joke. Let's watch it.
But isn't part of that because we had to fold everything into critical race theory, and somehow the Middle East became part of, you know?
I see it differently, and I love this conversation because I think people, those of us who went to college, give a lot more credit to college courses for how the world works than I do. This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive.
You see, you guys, and this is the thing. This is exactly the thing. I mean, he apologized, but it's very easy to apologize after you you know, you cause such a shitstorm and you get all this backlash. Because you were supposed to be the good guy. You're supposed to be the guy that stands up for, you know, social injustices. That's why you did your charities. That's why you founded them, right? So it's pretty tasteless. It's absolutely tasteless, and it's very disappointing. And I understand that. You know, you want to be down with the right crowd because that is what's ensuring your career moves and whatever your future. Or I'm not saying that he gets paid by a particular set of people that pay politicians and influencers and commentators and everybody influential, if you want to call. I hate the word influencer. Influence what? You know, public figures, whatever you want to call them. I'm not saying that he does get paid because I don't have no proof of that, but I wouldn't be surprised, especially with such a disgusting remark. You know, like we're in this era of PC and everybody PC and everything like that. And I understand, like when you go to a comedy show, when it comes to comedy, you kind of have to leave all your sensitivity at home. But also there is something like a red line. There is also something like a red line. And the people clapping in the audience, seriously. Yeah. Yes, let's move on. So I have here actually two people that I want you to hear from. Okay, one guy is actually going to show us. He's like, his name is Andre, and he is an Israeli journalist who's very active in the West Bank, right? He is always with the Palestinians, and so he's showing us this incident, which I find very interesting, where he gets actually checked by the IDF, and this is what happened.
Attack near the tunnel checkpoint in the West Bank near Bethlehem. And for context, the tunnel checkpoint controls a settler-only road that passes through the West Bank, and it is surrounded by the apartheid wall. Immediately, the Israeli army shut down every nearby town and city, as they do in collective punishment of Palestinians. And I happened to be in Bethlehem at the time, so I went to check it out. Now it is.
Go there.
Look, I'm gonna go grab my stuff. I'm not under your jurisdiction. You're a soldier. I'm a civilian. I'm not under military law. So I'm gonna go and get my stuff.
You're not a civilian. Hey, you're from Russia. Go there.
But
And then once he says himself, once he revealed to them that he was Israeli, when he showed his Israeli passport, it was a whole different show. It was a whole different treatment. They dealt with him completely differently. He always actually gets into situations with the IDF because he's there with his press pass and he walks around and whatnot, and they're obviously like stopping everybody who they don't like. But sometimes it's going to be one of them, even if it's not often, but it does happen, like in this case. So, and then there's another thing, you guys, because I was speaking to you, like this whole recognition of Palestine by all of these countries last week. We talked about it. It doesn't really sit well with me. Symbolic, it's great. Like we have almost 150 countries now, or do we have over 150 countries now? I don't really keep up with it because I find it like, I'm sorry, but you know, this is not one of the most important things to me. And as I hear from Palestinians as well, it's not, or many Palestinians, we don't want to generalize. It's not, right? Not everybody takes great pride in finally being recognized by all of these Western entities that are participants of this genocide that is ongoing. You know what? And then this makes a lot of things easier. And when I say it, people actually sometimes think I'm a little bit crazy because there's nothing that these countries do without it being beneficial for them. I said that as well. So now it's much easier to get away from it being a genocide in this particular role. And this is a Jewish man who says exactly what I've been saying. Check this.
You think the EU is finally doing the right thing by recognizing a Palestinian state? Maybe they are. But here's the part no one wants to say out loud. Israel might be pushing for it behind the scenes, quietly, strategically, because if Palestine becomes a recognized state, Israel can finally say, we're no longer occupiers, we're just defending ourselves from a hostile neighbor.
You guys see? That's exactly it. And this is a Jewish person saying it. I hope those who don't believe it now. If you have anyone and this conversation ever comes up, show them this clip of this man. Like, the liberation of Palestine should be the answer, not the recognition of a state, the state of Palestine. It's about justice and not just some deals made between countries and some papers signed. Oh, we recognize Palestine as a country or as a state, like whatever. And it's 2 years, you guys. So I'm recording on a Thursday. I know the club goes up on a Tuesday, but I'm here on a Thursday. Anyway, never mind. So the October 7 was 2 days ago on a Tuesday, matter of fact. 2 years of genocide, 2 years of bombardment, of starvation, man-made famine, man-made starvation. So many things happened. Like I would be sitting here again for hours counting all these things that happened, you know, from all of the crazy, sickening methods that the Israelis used to assassinate Palestinians. For example, Remember when they used these recordings of baby screams to lure Palestinians to a particular area so that the assassination is much easier? All the bombings and destruction of hospitals, schools, churches, like old churches, masjids, streets, homes, businesses, all the public buildings where registration is actually kept. Like there's no more paperwork, nothing left. People's belongings. Like, what do people actually still own? And these people still made it work. Like in Ramadan, they built this huge table on a rubble where they had even like speakers, they were playing music and they were eating whatever they could find. The looting that went on from the IDF, all of the gangs that are funded by Israel in Gaza, the kids, people giving birth in these nasty conditions, all the diseases, the contaminated water, all in the summer, the insects, the heat, diseases that doctors never have seen. One of my favorites that was also in the very beginning when they hired Hannah, this Mexican actor, and with this, was she even Mexican? But I think she was Jewish. She had like a heavy Israeli accent. She was Israeli, I think, whatever. And she pretended to be an Arab doctor from Gaza, and it was so incredibly bad. Like they must have really thought people are just like listen and watch with one eye and one ear open, like one eye and one ear closed, like not paying attention. But they had it. They had it so wrong. They really got it so wrong. A lot of people, not everybody, unfortunately, yeah, but we're working on it. Right? As much as they want to pay the influencers online to spread their propaganda. And I see it more. I actually see it more on TikTok. There's so much crazy things going on with all this propaganda spun, by them. It's a lot of videos, people talking about, I don't know, like the wrong information that's been out there for 2 years, supposedly, all these insane things. And these 2 years, a lot of things happen as I'm saying here, like I don't even know what to say. But one thing that is happening as well is it's the third time in history since the existing of the occupation since 1948 that they have a negative when it comes to people migrating to the settler colony, right? So people are leaving. They packing up their things and their belongings and they leave. They just out. They're gone because of safety reasons and so on and so forth, right? And there is people who say they don't even regret it.
A recent poll shows that if an election were to be held now, Netanyahu's Likud would still win the most seats. Netanyahu's popularity has even increased. Let me explain why that might be surprising. Before the October 7 attacks, Netanyahu was facing down this. Critics accused his right-wing coalition of undermining democracy by trying to curb the powers of the judiciary. They suspected a Netanyahu plan to interfere with his own long-running corruption trial.
Netanyahu is faced a lot of criticism before 2023. Before October 7, people were protesting in the streets a lot because obviously he has his fraud trial going on for now a good number of years. And, the people were not happy with what he's doing. But then October 7 came and they all supported this war, which obviously is another indicator of it being absolutely beneficial to him. And that's why he keeps going. He still faced criticism on how he handles this whole thing with the hostages, because there's protests in Israel all the time. But it's mainly to bring back the hostages and against how the government is handling the situation. Like you have also like Ben Gvir left and came back. He's still crying about the post-war, I should say post-genocide plan. Smotrich and Ben Gvir and many others also with their very nasty remarks on how to, genocidal remarks on how to let like small church wants to starve the 2.3 million people in Gaza, but shame the world doesn't let him, and much more. The treatment of people in city Taman, in that concentration camp, and Ben Gvir condoning the sexual violence. They said they should continue like this. There's ICC warrants out. There was the killing of Hania and Sinwar, which were massive. Like they killed Hania last July, like July 2024, in Iran, in Tehran, and Sinwar in Gaza. They were saying that he has all of these millions and all billions and whatnot, and he's safe and he eats and whatever. But the guy was on the front line. He was out there. He was strong to the last second, how he always said he was going to be. The 12th day war on Iran, the pager attack in Lebanon, all of the destruction and all the bombardment in Lebanon. So a lot happened, a lot. Then we had Assad fall in this 2 years, and Giuliani took over. The people in Syria, they were absolutely happy in Syria and also in the diaspora that the Assad regime finally fell. Giuliani taking over, but there's still bombardment from Israel. We still don't know what's where, who stands where and who does what and who doesn't. So these 2 years were absolutely packed, and the center of it, Netanyahu. Okay, let's talk about another troll, another person that is actually also someone that is, I don't know. He's been called an ally to Israel. He is a part of UK culture. He has been called brave, courageous. And Tommy Robinson, of course, we're talking about. Tommy Robinson was invited to Israel once again by the diaspora minister Amichai Chikli. What a name. And when he was asked why he invited him, he wanted the UK to answer that question, which is, these people.
An Israeli minister, Amichai Chikli, has invited Tommy Robinson to Israel, calling him a courageous leader. Why is Tommy Robinson, a man who's been convicted in this country for incitement to racism and terrorism, being invited to Israel?
Well, whether Tommy Robinson comes to Israel or not, Tommy is part of British culture. I noted that he brought on the streets of the UK hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. So this is really a question for...
Literally, this guy is a convicted person, police assault and football, whatever fights and whatever he had in the past going on. He was convicted a couple of times, and recently he thought he was going to take a break, and he flew to South America because he thought that nobody knows him. That is according to him, right? But he hates immigrants, but he doesn't mind flying into their countries. Amazing. So when he arrived in Colombia, he was detained at the airport because he was deemed a national threat. And then he decided, he's like, can I book a flight to leave? And they were like, okay, yeah, do that. So he flew to Panama. When he arrived in Panama, they didn't let him in either. He was detained. So if you ever wondered what he does with his money, Israel, that's what he does. He tries to get into countries that don't want him. So yeah, when finally what do you call it? This Amichai Chikli guy responded to why are they letting him in? Why are they inviting him to Israel? Not why they're letting him in. He actually responded with, he is against, what did he call it? Wait. He's against Islamism. Yeah, that's what he is against, Islamism. okay, and we need to fight Islamism. So that's why they invite him in. And the funny part is there is a lot of Jewish people in the UK who did not appreciate the invite of Israel. So he made a video criticizing them, and then he was called anti-Semitic. But he said that he was never paid by Israel, and he still stands with them. And honestly, bad and bad goes well together. That's all I can say. Bad and well, bad goes very well together. Now let's talk about the Home Secretary of the UK. The UK has never apparently been very good with picking home secretaries, but then which good politicians do they really have that actually have something to say or that are actually in a position to make a change? Keir Starmer, most definitely not. Rishi Sunak, oh my gosh, you know. So Braverman, I don't know why, but everybody by now should know I have such a I don't know. I don't like this woman whatsoever. Now the next one is a little bit more. She's not like, you know, Zuela Braverman, she's like at least in your face. She will tell you she doesn't like you, she doesn't want immigrants, she doesn't like this, she doesn't like that. You know, like she will actually spit it out and say it how it is. This one here, man. So in 2014, Shabana Mahmood, right? A Muslim name. But that doesn't mean anything. She could be literally anything, because we learned just because you have a particular name, that doesn't make you what we think it is. So we shouldn't generalize and we shouldn't assume. So Ms. Shabana Mahmood in 2014, she was seen protesting and advocating for Palestine. And now she's singing a whole different tune.
This is Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood in 2014 at a pro-Palestine protest. The same Shabana Mahmood who in 2014 said the current death toll in Gaza is the clearest sign of a disproportionate and indiscriminate response by the Israeli state when they killed over 2,300 Palestinians in 2014. And this is the same Shabana Mahmood who 2 days ago said that just because you have a freedom doesn't mean you have to use it at every moment of every day, after she gave...
This woman really gave the police the power to intervene in these protests. Protests are part of the fundamental rights that humans have. That's what I at least remember. That's what I thought, to be honest. So it's just, you know, raises a lot of questions. How much is she getting paid? Like, how much was it worth to switch sides just like that? I understand it's a huge career move. Now she's the Home Secretary. She worked her way up. I don't really know what she was doing before. I don't really look into her like that, but she was obviously active on the scene, on the political scene for quite some time. And now she became Home Secretary of the UK, which is a huge position and it's a huge climb. So yeah, in order to have these or to be able to make these career moves, you either need to sacrifice your morals, the same morals that were being literally punished for these days. Like, we're being really punished for having core values and morals that we learned. And this is what is so insane to me. Like, what is happening with people to the point where we're now at this point where we cannot even have a normal conversation with raising normal concerns or freedom of speech or whatever, because we will be punished for it. And then if you don't play by the book, you cannot get a higher job or a higher position. So yeah, this woman sold out completely. My question to these people is always, at some point when it's all over, when you're done your term as Home Secretary and you gave, like, you made all of these orders, because you're not like, you're nothing, like, you don't hold the power. You hold some power, but there's people who tell you what to do, because there's always the people who pull the strings of the puppets that are at the front. So honestly, yeah, Labour is obviously doing it. Like, they banning the protests, the pro-Palestine protests in the UK, and how they doing it is very clever. So they banning repeated protests, like reoccurring protests, because they're going on every week. So because it's pro-Palestine protest, they're like banning them because obviously it was the last week and so on and so forth. So now I hope the people in the UK are going to be, and I trust them to be, because the people in the UK, like Palestine Action, who've been deemed to be a terrorist organization, they have been doing great work, and I hope they continue to do great work. And they have, and we have to get creative here, like seem like we're like shut down, shadow banned, we're like not allowed to say certain words. You know how insane that is, that we cannot say the simplest words online, therefore, and otherwise we get shadow banned, or our content doesn't get uploaded or whatever. It's crazy. So yeah, what can I say? We do have a lot of protests going on generally, right? We have protests going on in so many major cities, but of course the media is not talking about it, right? And a lot of these protests are pro-Palestine protests, but then you also have protests in solidarity with the Summit Flotilla, you know. So there was protests in Milan, for example, in Italy. Italy has been standing on business. They really shut down the country, everything, because they were tired of it. And why it's so interesting to me is because Italy is often, especially North Italy, is often deemed a very racist country. And many people, right, many people of color have experienced many racist attacks, and generally racism in Italy, and a lot of it in North Italy. So it's nice to see that this country that a lot of people of color deem as the one of the most racist country in Europe actually still 10 toes down on shutting down the country, you know, and holding their government responsible and accountable for the complicity. Because yeah, Italy still delivers. I know that the US delivers more, Germany delivers more. They're like the two biggest, and then the UK, and you know, like many other countries, like the Netherlands, certain, you know, fighter jet parts and whatnot. But Italy as well, they deliver as well. You know, Spain stopped. Apparently, they put some, they pushed it through this whole thing with this arms embargo. So let's see what's going to happen with that. I think they also had only like repairals, but they wanted to stop that as well. I don't even know. I didn't check if they still doing the repairals or not anymore. And so yeah, the police in Milan marched with the people.
I'm here in central Milan, where organizers say 100,000 people have come out onto the streets of Milan to show their support for Gaza. These sorts of protests have been happening all over the country over the last weeks. People have been mobilized to come out to show their frustration at how this humanitarian crisis in Gaza has been handled, especially by the Italian government. Protesters.
And then we had 250,000 marching in the Netherlands and in the capital, Amsterdam.
A red line has appeared again in the Netherlands, this time ahead of 2 years of genocide and the election here in the Netherlands. This is what demonstrators had to say.
I'm here to protest the genocidal state of Israel, not only for the genocide to end, but I think also to call for like a decolonization of Palestine and for acknowledgement that it didn't start the 7th of October, but it goes way back. Yeah, no liberal vote for me.
Yeah, and you guys remember when the Tel Aviv football team came? That's also something that happened last year, and they've been ran by the people in Amsterdam after they started tearing down Palestinian flags from homes and wherever they were hanging, and attacking people, insulting people. So yeah, they were taught a very good lesson, I'll tell you that much. And if you guys remember the videos, it was hilarious. It was very funny, I'm not gonna lie. So, and finally, the people are really understanding that it's not about just ending this genocide in Gaza. It's actually about the whole of Palestine. Again, the West Bank, they're going through it with this whole annexation, with this whole taking over more and more land, you know, driving people out of their homes and their businesses. Very destructive, very destructive what's going on over there. So the people are finally starting to realize that the whole idea of a colonization, of a colony, of the colony itself, of the settlement itself, of the colonial state itself is actually not a good idea.
We are here at the music festival in El Viejo San Juan demanding the resignation of the governor. She has done absolutely nothing for the people of Puerto Rico since she came into office 9 months ago. On the contrary, the first thing that she did when she got into office was to sign an executive order to benefit her in-laws who have property, illegal property in La Parguera here in Puerto Rico. Since then, there have been at least four increases.
And now this is another protest here in Puerto Rico. And if you guys still don't understand, right? All of these people who say, I don't have a dog in this race. If you still don't understand this, what October 7th has done apparently is wake a lot of people up to what the system is like, what the governments are like, what the governments do, what kind of, what business of the governments look like, how they're willing to infringe on our freedom of speech, freedom of expression, on what we can do and can't do. Like a lot of people started feeling it when COVID kicked in, but October 7th kind of like solidified it even more so and woke more people up. So what we're seeing here is literally a lot of countries, many countries standing up against their governments. We had last week, we showed Madagascar, Morocco, Peru, and now Puerto Rico, because they're saying, like, again, what the governor is doing is absolutely out of selfish reasons, because like money-wise, properties and whatnot, the electricity bills are extremely high, increase of 8%, and people can afford this, and they are tired of it. People are sick of it. But you guys, there is a bigger picture. Like I always say, there is a bigger picture to it. As much as we have the people finally standing up to things, there is a way bigger picture. And one day we're going to talk about it. Now, I want to move on to the story that is absolutely devastating and heartbreaking. And I don't understand how something like this still happens in our system. Maybe I do understand, because our society is nothing anymore. It's not what it was anymore. Like as I said earlier, you get punished for doing good things or believing in good things, and you get paid for standing with taking people out, assassination, distraction, atrocities. You get paid if you stand with that. So I want to talk about this young guy called Kyron Lacy, a 24-year-old who had a bright future coming because he was supposed to be, going into the NFL. And there was this accident in 2024 in Louisiana, in December 2024 in Louisiana, that he didn't cause. And we know that by now. He didn't cause that. He was too far away. But yet the police somehow managed to get him because they were like very inconsistent testimonies by witnesses, and certain things that people said, like describing the car in one way, and the police were very, law enforcement. It's systematic racism. It's because obviously, you guys, Kyron is Black, and they charged him with negligent homicide, reckless driving, hit and run, and he was released on bail after. Okay, and 2 days before the hearing of the grand jury, they say, and it's crazy, they say he allegedly led a police chase on, so basically he ran over a red light and the police chased after him, and then they said he was found then with a gunshot wound. And his lawyer actually proved now with a surveillance video and that he was 72 yards away from the accident. Okay, so, and this is what I find absolutely insane. Like, this man, he had like everything to look forward to, and somebody comes, makes a wrong testimony, and law enforcement, because it's a Black guy, it's like, whatever, let's run with it, right? So it's less work for us and it's easier. Insane. So he committed suicide. What they're saying, we're still waiting for some more information, but his girlfriend came out and said that even though the whole world hated him, because honestly, so what happened with this accident was just not like an accident. It was a 78-year-old man died. Okay, somebody ran a 78-year-old man, rammed him, and then this person died. But somebody else committed the suicide, the accident, and this person lied as well. So there's a bunch of lies and a bunch of you know stories spun around what really happened just to put the blame on this guy. And he said to his girlfriend was saying that he said, no matter what, as long as God knows the truth, I'm good. But apparently he wasn't good. If he committed suicide, he wasn't good. To push somebody to commit suicide, it takes a lot. So let's check out what his mom has to say.
I am Kyron, Lacy's mother, and I will not accept any belated apologies. My beloved son left me 5 months ago, and you can't imagine, at the very end of his life, he still thought everyone hated him. It was an accident that had absolutely nothing to do with him, yet it not only brought him worldwide ridicule, but also destroyed his career and ultimately took his life, all because one man lied to him. Everyone blamed him without knowing that Kyron's car was farther from the crash.
You know, in this vein, I also want to talk about Trey Reed. We talked about him a couple of weeks before, or 3 weeks before, whenever. It was one of the guys who was found hanging from a tree, where they said there is no foul play involved. And now they had to, again, eat their own words because there was a head injury. It was a hit to the head. And a few days prior, he had beef with 4 white kids because he defended his sister. So I find it amazing that with everything that we have available, with the internet, with critical thinking, with everything, like, you know, like people learning, studying, educating themselves, apparently it's not, or completely wrong. Because if you as a white person still thinks, okay, you know, let's kill a black guy and let's hang him from a tree, I don't get it. It's actually very sad. And you guys, I have a couple of more crazy stories. Okay, I have a couple of more crazy stories. So let's talk about this crazy story. So there is the Southern Californian University, and they have a very interesting business scheme. And they're not the only one. There's other universities who do this as well. Just saying. So let's check this out.
The University of Southern California has been exposed for making hundreds of thousands of dollars by selling dead bodies to train Israeli forces. A review of 7 years worth of contracts between USC and the US Navy revealed $860,000 in deals involving 89, quote, fresh cadaver bodies, 32 of which were specific.
So you guys, this was a very interesting article, and I'm glad I found this video to kind of like that somebody else then spoke on this. So universities do this. They give unclaimed bodies. These are bodies that are from people who have not been claimed by their families, who went missing, or anyone. These are not people who consented to being an experiment after death, but because they no family member came for them, no friends, no nothing, they just get donated. And basically the business scheme is to sell these bodies. And just alone, this university in Southern Cali made between $860,000 and $1.1 million with these bodies. So how this works is they give it to the US Navy, and they have a collaboration with the IDF. So they work together on these bodies, like basically trauma treatment, you know, after death, or injured people or whatever, like not after death, oh my gosh, injured people from the Navy, so they learn how to perform surgery and all these kind of things, you know. And this is a collaboration with the IDF that's been going on for quite some years now. I believe it started in 2017. And they are doing this together. So you can see they are like literally in bed together for so long and longer. 2017 is still very fresh, but they have been doing other things. And this faced a lot of criticism because it's obviously very unethical to just like donate bodies or sell bodies that of people that just died and never consented. But this has been going on since ancient times, right? This is what people have been doing. Before it was like executed people, right? Executed people, they would just like get taken and get donated, sold, or whatever, for education purposes to the army and so on and so forth. Then the universities are doing this as well. And it has been happening for quite some time. This is nothing new. It's just very interesting that the U.S. Navy does this type of exercise together with the IDF, like so many other things that they do in IDF. And since we're talking on crazy stories, the next one is also a wild one. I don't even know, bro. I don't even know. Let's listen to this.
5 teenagers were sentenced for throwing a stone, but they were happily dancing and shouting in the courtroom. However, the judge's ruling quickly wiped away their smiles. Kenneth White, 32, was driving a truck on an interstate highway when suddenly a 6-pound stone fell from a bridge. It was about 5 inches wide and 8 inches long, piercing through the windshield and hitting his head and chest with a diameter called...
So can you guys believe this? These 5 kids between 15 and 17 thought it would be fun to throw stones at people. And this is not the first case of this, right? I've been aware of this since I was very, very young, where people would stand on bridges near highways or something, or where there's like cars like racing by, and they would like throw stones down at cars, break their windows or whatever. And yes, there were plenty of cases where it ended up in somebody dying. Like in this case, like Kenneth White, he was in his truck driving, and these kids threw down the stones. And because they were young, I don't know, like their lawyer, their parents, I don't know, whoever sold them the dream of like, oh my gosh, you could be like, you could be how do I say, sentenced, juvenile sentencing, basically. That's it. Juvenile sentencing. And the lawyer tried to push it through, their lawyer, but the judge refused it. So now they could be facing life in prison. Rightfully so. And Kenneth White's father said that's nowhere near enough, because they can still talk to their families. They can still have some type of life, and he can never talk to his son again, rightfully so. And since we're doing good with crazy stories, let's end this on a crazy story. So you guys, I always talk about AI, and we talked about it so many times, how it's kind of like really, in a way, extremely useful. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I use some type of AI as well sometimes. But some people allow it to have their lives taken over by AI pretty much. We talked about the psychosis it can cause, because people treat it like a friend or a partner or somebody important, and they listen to what they've been told and whatnot. And now it's going a little bit too far, because now we have scientists in Switzerland doing this.
Holy, this is one of the most insane things I have ever read. Scientists are now growing mini human brains to power computers. And this whole thing is creepy as hell. Now, for starters, in regular computers, we call it hardware. Well, the scientists in Switzerland that are currently carrying this out, they're calling theirs wetware. Bro, what? Oh, and it gets even creepier.
Ain't that insane? So they use human skin cells from donors from Japan. I don't know by Japan. I don't know if it's because the Japanese decided to do this, or they are partnering with the scientists in Switzerland, or what the exact reasoning is. But they are getting these skin cells from people from Japan, and they are called the organoids. What a wild name, right? Organoids. So they are lab-grown mini brains, and they attach them to the systems so that they receive like signals, and they're supposed to like be trained and learn even more, like be really like powerful, like real brains. How far this will go, I don't know, but it's actually kind of like creepy. They're very unpredictable, these organoids. That's what the scientists say. So they're still teaching them and learning them, and they're very challenged by it. So, and some of them die, and it's just a wild story. And then we're staying with AI because now OpenAI have video, and they have apparently great video that they can do. So they made this.
Check this out. Now, first time doing Umrah. We're walking around the Kaaba, and it's hard to describe. It's so peaceful. I feel grateful to be here trying to take it all in. Alhamdulillah.
OpenAI just released Sora, and we're getting these type of videos, and it's honestly shocking the type of future that we're going to have. As of date, OpenAI has the best AI video because they just want to become the first. But this is what's going to become the norm in the future, where this will become accessible. Because there's some guardrails right now, people might use it to fake crimes. People might use it.
And when I say this video, when I say they, I don't mean that OpenAI made it. I mean that somebody made it, right? Jake Paul going to Umrah is a little bit wild. Okay. Like a few years ago, and we talked about it on the other podcast, I fell for it. There was this Donald Trump video where he reverted to Islam. And I almost fell for it. There's another video where Joe Rogan was talking about some experience he had with Andrew Tate, meeting in a club, and where Andrew Tate allegedly offered him the white stuff that people, intake through their nose. But obviously this was just AI again. This is literally slander. I think this is very bad because it's so deceiving. So yes, they have this regulation on social media where they say you have to mark it as AI content. And I agree with that. I mean, we talked about Zania Monet, the artist. It's amazing. I still stand by what I say. I love the songs, but it's creepy. It's scary. To the and AI to us as users is new, but the people who've been working on it for so long, and they know like way more than we know because they're way more advanced with stuff that they haven't released to the public yet. They're saying it's going too far. It's too much. We need to stop at some point. Bruh. I don't know what to say about this, but I honestly, it's wild. It's literally wild. So, and with that said, that's all I have today. Thank you so much for tuning in, wherever you tuned in from. I'd love to see you guys in the comments. I sometimes respond to a few comments. I'm going to be honest, right? I see the comments, but I don't see them in time. And then sometimes it's days later, and I see them, but not like in real time. Not that I sit there every day and check the comments. Maybe I should. Then I would have not missed certain weird comments, but I didn't, and I can only try. I'm only human, and that's all. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I need to get out. It's super late here. And yeah, thank you again, and peace out.
Culturally clueless, but together we'll pull through.